Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, December 18th, and we are winding down the year of 2017. We have less than 2 weeks of trading to go, and I actually have to update myself as to what kind of days we have off next week with the holidays. Don't have that off the top of my head, but we're going to have a full week this week, and we will continue to take it one day at a time. So SPY bulls are looking extremely strong, up at all-time highs, and again, we have those adjustments for the dividends. So SPY all-time high Friday was 267.04. We are well above that level. This is a significant gap up. And we're seeing the hourly time frame, V-shaped recovery. We've got the financial sector leading the way to the upside with a ton of strength. And the tech sector bulls also seeing upside. But it is really the last 2 days has been the financial sector leading the way with the tech sector following along. Just not as strong, still certainly strong in itself. We have a lot of all-time high tests coming in the tech sector. So with this gap up open that we are seeing, and there's SPY right there with that high volume, very healthy day. Quadruple witching day last Friday was an attribute to that volume, but certainly follow through today. But we're looking for all-time highs on all these names in the tech sector that are positioned well. Look at Google is going to test the all-time high today, 1080. Google has been showing us this strength last week, and now we're seeing this follow through today. We've got Apple going to test the all-time high today. Apple's all-time high is 175.61. We're right there. This is a bull flag of consolidation on the weekly time frame, and we're looking for continuation. We've got Facebook bulls heading up towards the all-time high with a lack of resistance, looking to break 182.28, and then it's just the all-time high as the next level. And we've got Amazon up there as well. If we see the Amazon bulls break above 1,200, it's just 1213, the all-time high. Netflix, as far as the big five go in the tech sector, Netflix is the furthest away from the all-time high. Look how many resistance levels we can pick out here before we get back towards that all-time high. So just keeping in mind, Google right now closest to the all-time high. If I had to rank them, it would be Google, Apple, Amazon, and Facebook probably right around the same, and then Netflix in terms of names that are closest to their all-time highs. Checking in on the dollar on the daily time frame, still not a whole lot going on. I don't even know if anybody cares about the dollar. I just look at it in terms of reference to see what gold is doing. But with gold so uneventful over the last couple of months, I personally haven't cared at all about what the dollar and gold is doing. It's something that's, worth checking in on every few days, but certainly not actively trading it myself. As far as support goes, 93.28 support and 94.22 resistance is our current range. And once we get a break of that range, it will dictate short-term direction heading into the end of the year. Checking in on gold. Hold on 1 second. Looks like people are having issues with the live video. I believe it works on my end. Double checking here real quick. I'm going to give them an alternative link, and I'll get right back into it. So just wait a minute for people to click the link here. So I was just talking about the tech sector. Lots of names on the verge of all-time highs. Google and Apple going to test the all-time high today, and we've got Facebook and Amazon right behind them, and Netflix is the weakest of the five in terms of names that are looking at their all-time highs. So checking in on gold, gold is still trying to see its oversold bounce play out. Bulls looking for a bullish MACD cross on gold. We've got resistance at 1261.69, and we have, after that resistance, The next level for the bulls to really change this trend, we have to break 12.99.10. So we're nowhere near changing this trend overall for gold. It's a nice oversold bounce. The bulls have some decent momentum behind it, but we're not changing any kind of trend. So we have to anticipate that this daily chart is going to set a lower high on this bounce, more likely than not. So we have to be a bit cautious of that. But the 4-hour time frame has a clear higher low pattern, and support is 12.52.65 and 12.50.39. So still a clear 4-hour higher low pattern. That it was keeping the gold bulls in control, and if we lose that, that would be a red flag. Oil on the daily time frame, put out the video over this weekend. It is a very clear setup. It's going to give us a very clear break for momentum to start 2018. And we have right now the range of 58.53 resistance and 56.07 support, and watching patiently to see which is going to break first, as we are roughly right in the middle of that range. And again, I do anticipate a break before the new year. And if not, it should be right when the new year occurs. Natural gas oversold bounce playing out. Decent bounce at this point from the lows, but again, we are just seeing a oversold bounce. We're doing nothing to change the trend. 2732 is key resistance. Anything under that is just another 4-hour lower high. If the bulls can break that level, then we'll look for a little bit more of an extended bounce to play out, with this daily chart perhaps getting a couple bullish days in a row as the RSI is coming off of oversold, and we have to break 2732 for the bulls to see some kind of follow through. Bitcoin is consolidating this morning. We had the CME futures go live yesterday, and initially it was a bearish reaction. We bounced all overnight, but it's just another lower high at this point, and we're looking for the hourly chart to form a higher low and for an equilibrium pattern to form. So support is down here at 18,200. The bulls are going to look to form a higher low compared to that level, and our new resistance is 19,367. So Bitcoin in an hourly equilibrium pattern. Litecoin is in a very similar pattern. Here's the resistance of 330. Then we dumped. We hit a low, and that was down at 305.77. We now have a lower high at 327.88, and we're looking for a higher low to form on the hourly time frame. Ethereum had the strongest bounce yesterday, but it too is pulling back. But look at that recovery. Ethereum broke the high from before the dump. Very clear distinction, putting it ahead of the other two names in terms of strength. And we can be looking for a bullish entry. 720 previous resistance, now support. Look at us reject from 720 and how we are perfectly bouncing off of it at this point. Let's see if the bulls are able to hold this level. A wall of resistance last night, broke above it and broke out, and now we are back testing that level. Key support at 720. If it breaks, we're looking at 713.50, and it is the strongest name right now of the big three on the hourly time frame, as we are not looking to form an equilibrium pattern because that's not possible, because we just broke to a higher high already this morning. So plays that I'm watching, of course, all of the tech names that are going to all-time highs: Google, Apple, Amazon, and Facebook, all on watch for their strength. Obviously, the financial sector bulls are on watch as well. They're extremely strong. BAC is looking to head to higher highs with a break of 29.50, and we're looking for C to get a bull break and get above 76.80 for the bulls to take back over. A little bit more work for those bulls to do compared to the names in the tech sector that are at all-time highs. In terms of names that I'm watching, honestly, the MJ sector for both the US and Canada is continuing to provide really nice setups and really nice opportunity for profit. The US sector is responding to California, the 6th largest economy in the world, legalizing recreational marijuana and the doors opening for sales January 1st. We are seeing 2 weeks of hype building up into that. And we could see a sell the news reaction, but we have to keep in mind that media is going to be all over this. It's going to be all over the news. We're going to see all kinds of articles. And in the next couple of years, we're just going to see these stats come out of California about the insane amounts of hundreds of millions of dollars that are going through in terms of sales and taxes being raised, and everything that we've seen with Colorado and Washington in terms of bullish economic responses to legalization. That's going to happen in California, but magnified significantly. So that's where we're keeping an eye out for. The plays that I'm watching already traded TRTC yesterday, or I should say last week. And just a quick flip on this name as we're seeing healthy consolidation. And I'm going to look for another entry because this weekly chart is setting up for a clear longer-term bull break, but it hasn't happened yet. And I'm going to be cautious until that happens. But U.S. names are seeing life here. IIPR, we know, has been in blue sky breakout the last few days. We were looking for 5 to 10% move on the all-time high. And at this point, we're now well over 20%. We're pushing 25, 30% on that all-time high break and that initial entry at $20. I personally am all out of IIPR as well. Took all that profit on Friday, but it does look like we're going to see some continuation into today. Also keeping an eye on SMG. We've been talking about SMG as a legitimate name for the last couple months. We're coming off an all-time high last week here as well. SMG bulls are in full control. I'm watching WEED and ACB, which have extremely clear daily equilibrium patterns, which are going to break and give us potential long-term entries this week, and if not this week, certainly next week. But things are getting very tight. I put out the video over the weekend detailing in depth the levels that I'm watching on these names. These are the plays that I'm watching as they have the highest risk to reward opportunity in terms of profit, in my opinion. Checking in on some 5-minute and hourly setups. And we'll start it off with Facebook. So Facebook on the daily time frame, the high of Friday, 180.49, a gap up is coming. Key daily resistance, 182.28. If we break that level, an all-time high is very likely sometime this week. Have to break 182.28. Supports are going to be hourly exponential moving averages, which have been holding for days. And if those break, we're going to be looking at the hourly 20 period. But the bulls are in full control. Any name that I'm talking about, I'm not going to keep repeating myself, but the bulls on a gap up open have to hold the 20 period 5-minute moving average support to remain in full control. If we do not keep that support, we see profit taking and a bit of a fade into the open. That's the same for every single name that is seeing a gap up this morning. So that applies to everything. And right now, Facebook 20 period 5-minute moving average is resistance. So if we cannot gain that level and we break consolidation of 181.01 support, we are going to see fading into the morning. Bulls have to have that support to see continuation. Checking Apple. Apple's going for the all-time high as well today. Gap up open. So Apple on the daily time frame has resistance at 175.50, and then the all-time high is 175.61. Bulls are right there. Same thing. 20 period 5-minute is on watch, and we have already hit the highs pre-market, breaking the all-time high. Hourly exponential moving average support. This is going to be very similar on all the tech names. They're gapping up. The 20 period 5-minute is essential short term, and the hourly exponential moving averages are support because we have been running strong Friday and again this morning. Riot continues to see extended hours bullish action, but we're seeing some profit taking into the open. So same thing, 20 period 5-minute moving average. If it's resistance, we head back down. The gap would fill at 29.49. It's a clear break of support from pre-market action, and the bulls are going to have to establish a new level of support, get the 20 period 5-minute moving average, and turn things around. The hourly time frame is consolidating in a healthy manner, trying to hold exponential support, which has been holding for days at this point, and the hourly 20 period is catching up as well. The all-time high for Riot is 33.27, and we are currently within about 6% of that level this morning, and 6% for Riot is certainly no big deal, but momentum is facing downwards heading into the open, all about the 20 period 5-minute moving average resistance. SIEB. SIEB on the daily time frame is in blue sky breakout mode. It looks like 1430 is resistance. If we can't break 1430 today, we're going to likely see an inside bar form. Support is 1022. So bulls have to break 1430, and right now momentum is not heading in that direction. I've got resistance at 1444, certainly very close to that. If we break 1444, we're looking at 1605. Very high risk, high reward name. Tons of volume and bullish action over the last 2 days. And if we get that new all-time high break of 1430, we will be looking for continuation. SQ. SQ on the daily time frame, rejecting from exponential resistances on the daily. Lower highs and lower lows with a break of support, but the bulls are trying to turn things around. They have to close over exponential resistance to gain any kind of momentum. Key resistance is also 39.79. We're well below that level. Anything under 39.79 on a bounce is just another lower high. Bulls have to break that level to shift momentum back in their favor, but one step at a time. Bulls are trying to get over daily exponential resistance. Support is 36.87, the low of Friday, and if that breaks, it's 35.80, and we will continue to reject from exponential resistance if those support levels do break. Checking in on BABA, which had a dump day on Friday. but a bit of a recovery, a significant recovery. And now we're seeing follow through. There's a gap on the daily at 174.30. We're above that. Next resistance I'm looking at is 177.70, and then 170, or make that 180.68 is the level to break. If we break 180.68, we have a daily higher low and a higher high and a shift of momentum back to the bulls. We have the higher low on the daily established from the low of Thursday, 169.61, and now it's all up to the bulls to hit higher highs. A lot of the tech sector has already formed this higher low and higher high. BABA is a bit of a laggard in this pattern, as is NVDA and the semiconductors, also on the same page. 20-period 5-minute moving average support holding for the gap up open needs to do so at the open to continue to hold this strength. IMLFF. As far as the Canadian MJ names go, when I cover them in the video over the weekend, I don't have any new information when we head in today because we don't have any pre-market trading. There's nothing new to update aside from everything I already said in a 15-minute video. So I highly suggest watching those videos, and I'm not going to go into these names that I just covered during the video because nothing has changed. So IMLFF I did not cover. We have support down at 75 cents 3 days in a row. If we break 75 cents, we're looking at 72 and 70, and that will be an indication that we are going to see further consolidation. 75 is an important level. Resistance is 795, little double top at 80 cents. So pretty much the range is 75 and 80 right now. And bulls are in full control either way, but if we break 75, we're looking down to the daily middle Bollinger Band as support. WMD, covered it in the video, nothing new to update. The bulls are in control, but we have to see maintain higher lows, and the daily middle Bollinger Band support is catching up. Key resistance is 248, and then the all-time high. LTV.V closed at the high of the day on Friday with a lot of strength. Bulls have a long way to change this trend. Anything under 53 cents is a lower high. We're well away from that level right now. Bulls want to break 445 first thing. Then the daily middle Bollinger Band resistance is 48. Anything under that level is just a lower high and referring to 53. So the bounce is underway and the bulls have some nice momentum, but we're not going to change this trend on this bounce, in my opinion. We're going to have to hit a top, consolidate, and form a higher low and a higher high to shift momentum back in favor of the bulls because we had a clear bear break and breakdown Tuesday through Thursday of last week. FIRE. Middle Bollinger Band daily support, but we did lose the strongest higher low pattern with some bear volume on Friday. 182 is support, and there's not a lot of support until 170 after 182. Resistance is up at 196. So the bears have some momentum in fire with the bear break on Friday. WEED, bulls are waiting for 2019 or 2035, correct? GS. Bull flag on the daily time frame. Break of 260.50 will confirm it, and we're going to confirm it right at the open here. So very strong daily chart. Bull flag confirmed, and the next resistance, we are looking up at 261 and 262 psychological. All exponential moving averages on the hourly as support. Bulls in full control. GS is one of the better looking banking names on the daily chart right now. SSC. Big upper wick of profit taking on Friday from 533. We are seeing a higher open, but we're going to see a daily inside bar form today. Unless the bulls can explode and break 533, the daily inside bar is pretty much a sure thing. So look for tightening ranges and consolidation. And right now we have an hourly equilibrium pattern forming with our high. Our low of support is 410. Our resistance is our lower high at 491. And the bulls are looking to form a higher low compared to 410. Hourly time frame is a good guide on SSC. IIPR, we have no idea where we're going to open, and it's very thinly traded, but we are looking for continuation and new all-time highs. So resistance is going to be psychological levels 25 and 26, and the bulls are seeing a huge move the past 2 days, so we have to keep that in mind. We are running at this point 25% in 2 days, and when profit taking does begin, it's going to be hard to sell. You want to sell into strength on the ask on the way up. If you're trying to sell into the bid on the way down, you're going to get a lot of slippage as there's not a lot of bid support. So that is key for exiting. Key support in the short term, 24, held support at the end of the day on Friday. PCLN, bulls have to break 1777 first thing. If they do, we're looking up to 1800 and continuation of the gap fill on the daily chart. The daily upper Bollinger Band resistance is going to be right here in the way as well. It's a double top at 777 right now, and if that breaks, the bulls affirm their control. But keep in mind, even if it breaks, that daily upper Bollinger Band could reject the price. It doesn't mean that if 1777 breaks, we're heading up to 1800 today because of that daily upper Bollinger Band keeping things contained and rejecting the price on Friday. But overall, bulls looking good, and that break of 1777 would be a good sign for that weekly chart, which would then form a higher low and a higher high. Google all-time high test first thing. Same thing, that daily upper Bollinger Band is going to be right on that all-time high. Bulls want to see high volume to close above the daily upper Bollinger Band in breakout mode. Otherwise, we could break the all-time high and not see a ton of follow-through. We need the volume to show up, and we need more than 1.6 million shares traded in order for the bulls to have some solid volume behind this move. Obviously, if we don't break 1080 first thing and we start to pull back, that's a red flag as a double top at the all-time high. Twitter bulls, nice strength pre-market. Inside bar on the daily time frame, break of 2218 is bearish, break of 2286 is bullish. We have a gap up open coming. 2324 was the high we've seen on this bull move. We're looking to break that level as well. And the next resistance on the weekly time frame for Twitter is all the way up at 2525. So high of pre-market, 2340, and then 24 psychological are some resistance levels. Bulls want to maintain 2316 support into the open. If that breaks, we're looking down at 23 psychological. DIS. DIS is above the daily upper Bollinger Band in breakout mode to end the week the last 2 days. 112 was the high. If we break 112, we are looking for continuation. The weekly chart next resistance after 112 is up at 113.84. Bulls are in breakout mode and looking to head back towards the highs from earlier this year. And bulls in full control is the bottom line. As long as we continue to close above the upper Bollinger Band, bulls remain strong. And I assume those Star Wars reviews and hype is only helping the stock. VRX. We know the VRX bulls have been on fire and they are continuing strong pre-market. Inside bar on the daily needs to break 2039 for a bull break from Friday. Support is the 20-period 5-minute moving average. After 2039, we're looking up at 21. Hourly time frame. Bulls trying to regain all hourly moving averages as support. After a couple days of consolidation, the bulls are trying to head back up and break this inside bar bullish first thing. If we do not break 2039 and lose the 20-period 5-minute moving average support, that is a short-term red flag. CHK has been a very long-term bear. I've been covering it every single day in the daily videos, and it continues to reject from the daily exponent or the weekly middle Bollinger Band resistance. If we do not get over that level, the bears have complete control, as they have had complete control the entire year. At this point, we've dropped down about 50% from the start of the year. So CHK on the daily time frame has to see a break of 369 to even break the high of Friday. We're still not even close to that level. So obviously the natural gas correlation alone is not doing it for these bulls. I personally would not trade this name bullish at all. And that's just because it is such a clear long-term bear trend. I would start considering to play bullish if the weekly middle Bollinger Band became support. But if that doesn't happen, and it's not going to happen anytime soon, I personally would just completely disregard this name bullish. NXTFF, as I cannot chart, or TTF, as I'm unable to chart the Canadian version. So if we can see a break of the high, let's see, we've got an all-time high test coming, and if we break that all-time high, obviously we have a lack of resistance and the bulls have some strength. We have to be cautious as gap up opens in the Canadian sector oftentimes lead to initial quick pullbacks. So market order might not be the best way to go and rush into things. Personally, I like to give it about 30 to 60 seconds to see how the bid and the ask form up and how things are going from there. But if we do break the all-time high and run with no looking back first thing, then obviously market order is your only way to get in. But we could very easily open and then pull back a brief amount before seeing continuation on that all-time high. JD inside bar on the daily time frame Friday. Support is 39.90. We're seeing a gap up open. Resistance is 42.77. Break that level, and the daily chart has a double bottom and then a higher high, all about 42.77. The bulls are starting very strong, and we have the 20-period 5-minute moving average as support. If we lose a 20-period 5-minute moving average, we will look for some profit taking. FTEC.V. Bulls holding an uptrend on the daily time frame by maintaining the middle Bollinger Band support. If we lose that level and close below it, it will be a red flag. 455 is support, and resistance is 51. Break 455, and we're looking down at 425, and we will likely lose this daily middle Bollinger Band for the first time since the bull showed up 6 weeks ago. AMD, I'm certainly not a fan of AMD bullish comparatively to other names in the sector, but 1032 resistance is breaking. We're seeing a gap up open. The daily middle Bollinger Band resistance is going to be tested at about 1060 today. If we reject from that daily middle Bollinger Band resistance, the bears remain in full control. We're going to be nowhere near changing the daily trend right now. Anything under 1174 is a lower high. We are 10% below even the last lower high. So this is a short-term oversold bounce. The bulls have some nice follow-through thanks to market strength, but we're nowhere near changing momentum to favor the bulls. And key support pre-market is this low of consolidation at 1046. ALK. Daily upper Bollinger Band is going to be resistance in the mid-71s, although we're starting the day over those levels. If we can close above that middle Bollinger Band, there's a lack of resistance here, and I meant the upper Bollinger Band, but there's a lack of resistance because we dumped back at the end of October, and we're looking at 71.86. We're gapping up over the high of Friday. The 100-day moving average resistance in the upper $73 range is really the next resistance we're looking at aside from the daily upper Bollinger Band. So if we can close above the daily upper Bollinger Band, there's a lack of resistance and the bulls will have breakout mode. And if we can see more than 2 million shares traded, that will be a lot of bull momentum behind this move. EMH. EMH is seeing consolidation. It's still healthy on the daily. The bulls still have higher lows, but they want to maintain that low of Friday to keep that pattern in their favor. If we were to see a break of the low of Friday, that would be a red flag first thing. And you can see we did close with some weakness. 485 needs to hold. And looking at resistance, looking up at the high of Friday of 512. And there's also a resistance from the afternoon, 5 psychological. So a break of 482 and the daily chart is going to see further consolidation. And if we see a bull break of $5, we're going to be looking up at 512, the high of Friday. If we see a break of 485, I'm looking at 478 and 452 as the next levels. Tesla bulls seeing follow through from their breakout once we got over make that 320 resistance. We're losing the 20-period 5-minute moving average support at the open, so the gap up is not seeing a ton of strength. The gap will fill at 343.90 if we continue to consolidate, and resistance is 347.44, the high of the bull move last week. If we can't break that level, we're still going to look for some healthy consolidation, as that will show us that the bulls are not ready for continuation just yet. CANN. Inside bar on the daily time frame, 333 support and 375 resistance. And this is another USMJ name. And it had a huge breakout all December, up over 100%. Now healthy consolidation. Inside bar break will give us short-term direction. And definitely worth watching if we get a bull break of the inside bar. If we get a bear break, we're looking down at 310 support. If we get a bull break of 375, we're looking at 4 psychological resistance. Biotech sector, I still don't like it on the daily time frame. Too much indecision and choppy action back and forth. We have a higher low and lower high pattern still well in play. It'll be much more clear if the bulls can break 85.07, still a ways to go until we get to that level. The 50-day moving average resistance has rejected multiple attempts in the past month, and that's going to be in the low $83 range. So 50-day moving average resistance is key, and key support is the low of Friday, 80.79. But personally, this is the kind of chart which is too choppy for me to be confident. I would be day trading it, but in terms of swing trading it, I would wait for a break of either the lower high or the higher low pattern to have more confidence in follow through. BLOC, very tight on the daily with an inside bar. If we get a break of the low of Friday, break of 240 is bearish, break of 251 is bullish, and after that, we're looking to the ranges from Thursday because of that inside bar. So we'll see which direction it breaks. Bollinger Band's still tight, and watching the correlation between Canada and US blockchain names, have not seen a ton of correlation between those names, but that is definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. And Riot certainly starting strong. We'll see if BLOC can break 251 resistance. Game plan for playing an IPO, especially something on the Venture Canadian Exchange, it's going to be extremely high risk, high reward. A lack of significant liquidity is likely, and the safe way is to wait at least 15 minutes to see a support level to be established to use as a stop loss level. You need to have a stop loss to be confident and comfortable. So I would wait for a little bit of trading to take place initially. So watching WEED and $20 resistance. Tons of green on the screen today. Google does not have the all-time high just yet. And watching very close to see who's going to show up for these bulls. Riot bulls trying to get back over the 20-period 5-minute moving average. We've got the Grow bulls responding with some follow-through, both in the blockchain sector. HIVE.V. Bulls need to see a break of 360, the high of Friday, and we're pulling back from 355 right now. If we see a break of 338 with an inability to break 360, the bears are still in control and we're still consolidating. Inside bar will form if we are within 338 and 360 today. But that failed ability to break 360 first thing, a little bit of a red flag. Bulls want to break that in the first 15 minutes ideally to give confidence to the bulls that they are showing up. ATTBF bulls just broke an inside bar bullish. They have some news. So keeping an eye on ATTBF. KAT.TO, bullish start to the day. We have healthy consolidation after a breakout on the daily chart. A break of 174 is bearish and a break of 181 is bullish. Double top with the high of Friday and today so far. And pulling back, have to break 181 to be looking up at 192, the next resistance. IIPR is up another 5% to $26. Huge follow through on this blue sky breakout. But again, a lack of volume. JUNO, very weak to start first thing. Bulls trying to confirm a bullish reversal candlestick off the 100-day moving average support from Friday. Have to break 45.17, which we are rejecting from so far, and that 100-day moving average support is 44.06. If we can't break the high of Friday, we're not going to confirm this bullish candlestick, and the bears are going to keep control. Have to break 45.17 to see any kind of recovery. FNSR. FNSR trying to hold support the low of Friday down at 21.75 to put an end to healthy consolidation. Have to regain the hourly 20-period moving average to be confident that our higher low has been set on the daily chart. So support is 21.75. I'm looking at resistance of 22.55 and then 22.83. Worth keeping an eye on it. This is very healthy hourly consolidation that is close to shifting back in favor of the bulls. WEED bulls trying to break $20 and then 2019 resistance will be key after that. See if KASH IPO is live yet. And I might have just broke Fidelity trying to get that chart up. And I did. So I got to reboot Fidelity real quick. So MU earnings tomorrow. Thanks for that reminder. MU earnings are going to affect NVDA and AMD and the whole sector. So if cash is moving $160 to $4, obviously it's a big time gamble. Have to be very, very cautious playing that IPO. So yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on once we get a clear range and some more liquidity, but very, very high risk, high reward. Facebook and Netflix just hitting the red right now, so some consolidation in the tech sector. CSX. Trying to get over all 5-minute moving average resistances. 52.48 is the last 5-minute moving average resistance. Gap down open. The bulls already filled the gap on the way back up. But if we can't get over 5-minute moving average resistances, we might hit the top of this bounce attempt. Key support is 51.30. So MU with earnings approaching. MU has a gap up open, and we are losing the 20-period 5-minute moving average support. If we break 43.06, we're looking to fill the gap back down to 42.56. WEED is testing 2019 resistance. Very close to a bull break on the daily time frame. So MU seeing profit taking on the gap up open. Apple Bulls got a bull break initially. We do have all 5-minute moving averages as support. We are back testing them. Bulls want to hold 175.05 and continue to make their way towards the all-time high. Red flag if we break 174.81, the low of pre-market consolidation. LAC.TO. So LAC.TO bulls are trying to turn things around in terms of clear consolidation for weeks. Support is 1028, and the bulls on the hourly time frame need to form higher lows and higher highs. At this point, it's just an oversold bounce straight from the low. So the odds of changing the trend in favor of the bulls straight from the low are not likely. We're likely to set a lower high on the hourly chart and then have to consolidate and form a higher high from there, or a higher low from there to try and change the trend. And $11 psychological resistance. Support is 1070. Pretty tight range so far. WEED bulls, key test of 2019, and then resistance after that is 2035. WED, to be honest, I'm watching the daily upper Bollinger Band resistance because if we continue to close below it, we're not going to break out or miss any kind of big move. But we did just get a bull break of 2019. And the 5-minute time frame for WEED, pretty overextended. Watching key 2035 resistance. And volume is now picking up. VRX. VRX bullish start with a break of the inside bar on the daily of 2039. The VRX is trying to hold the 5-minute exponential moving average supports, and the next resistance from here is up at 21 psychological. Good start for the bulls. And WEED is seeing some 2030 resistance. And if we can see more than 4 million shares, 5 million shares traded today, it will be significant. And the bulls need that volume to try and close above the upper Bollinger Band on the daily. APH is definitely strong on its own. The all-time high is 1518. We're trying to recover from that bearish reaction to the dilution news, but the bulls are still very strong. A break of 1440 was a good sign today, and 1464 is the next resistance. The entire sector is strong. ACB is just not seeing much strength like we're seeing on WEED thanks to that news. So consolidation on ATTBF. Bulls are trying to stay above the upper Bollinger Band on the daily chart. Natural gas bulls are still holding the uptrend with 5-minute higher lows and higher highs in place. For UNG, support is 543 to maintain the strongest uptrend. 20-period 5-minute moving average support is here as well. Riot bulls in full control. Nice recovery. Looking at all-time highs on Riot. Facebook. Weakness first thing. Trying to bounce, but still 5-minute resistances in terms of moving averages. And if we don't break the resistance at 182.28, we do still have some lower highs on the daily time frame. So it looks like tech attention is going to the names that are closer towards their all-time highs. But no names are breaking to all-time highs just yet. Apple and Google are very close, but not seeing follow-through. Twitter bulls are on absolute fire today. Huge follow-through in breakout mode. But Facebook seeing a little bit of weakness on the 5-minute time frame, and if we break to a new low of the day, that is going to affirm that we are in control of the bears today. Bulls need to defend this 20-period hourly and 200-period 5-minute support currently being tested. Seeing some consolidation in IIPR down 4% from the high of the day due to that lack of bid support. Checking back in on the IPO of Cash, 225 support. So I have a WEED position now with the break of 2019, but we'll be a lot more comfortable if we can break 2035 today. Grow with a bull break following along with Riot's strength. The next resistance on Grow is the all-time high of 689. OSTK is trying to turn all 5-minute moving averages back into support. Bull break of $70 first thing today. Resistance is 70.95 and 71.95, the high of pre-market. And a nice V-shaped recovery over the last 2 weeks. Twitter bulls are not stopping. 24 psychological is the next resistance. SPY bulls are on absolute fire thanks to the financial sector up well over 1%. So checking in on names like GS and BAC. GS heading to higher highs on the daily chart, confirming the bull flag, and BAC has a double top at 29.50 to be watching. ETH bulls are buying a dip on the 5-minute time frame. We got oversold. The 5-minute time frame has to see a higher low and a higher high to shift momentum into favor of the bulls. Resistance right now is 726.91. Oversold 5-minute bounce attempt. Google on the verge of all-time highs being tested. XEMUSD on the hourly time frame, trying to form a bullish reversal candlestick. New support is 718, and resistance is just 80 cents. Healthy hourly candlestick forming so far after that brief pullback. SIEB needs to get over the 20-period 5-minute moving average resistance. 1357 is that level. Tons of volatility. One 5-minute candlestick seeing 10% range. I'm going to enter some ATTBF here at 46. Just grabbing an initial starter position because I do like the fact that the hourly chart is keeping a nice higher low, higher high pattern currently. PCLN hit a double top at 1,777. Couldn't break higher. WEED going to test the high of the day. A break of 2035 here would be fantastic for the bulls. New high of the day for WEED and breaking key resistance here of 2019 and potentially 2035, which now has us looking back to all-time highs. There's a couple resistance levels left, but this is a clear break for the bulls of the consolidation pattern. And we are looking at 2075 and 21 as the next two levels. Bulls couldn't have hoped for a better day so far. And if we can see around 6 million shares traded today, it would be a nice high volume bull day. Upper Bollinger Band is right around where we're trading here at 2040. So it is going to take a lot of volume for the bulls to close above that Upper Bollinger Band resistance. Yelp bulls in control. Nice gap up and holding exponential support. 100-day moving average resistance, 43.25 about to be tested. After 43.25 is 43.72. And bulls just need to keep that 5-minute higher low, higher high pattern in their favor. So SPY still on complete fire. We've got the financial sector bulls up at the highs. Tech sector bulls are right there as well. But not seeing the follow through these tech sector bulls need for that all-time high, although Apple now at 176, the high of the day, is less than $1 away. Checking WEED on the 5-minute time frame. Support established at 20.08. That is now the level for the bulls to maintain to keep in full control. APH bulls are definitely following along, heading back up after consolidation the second half of last week. Facebook is not bearish on the weekly. It won't be bearish unless it loses the middle Bollinger Band, which has been holding the entire year. And we already started this week with a bull break of the inside bar, already breaking the high of last week. There's Twitter at $24. So it's a race between all of these tech sector bulls as to who's going to get the all-time high first. And right now, Apple and Google are in a neck-and-neck race. ZAGG, very strong start to the day. And a clear bull break. Inside bar broke with a gap up open, and we broke resistance of 2065, which was a bit of a double top. And now we're looking at 21 and 2105 as a couple resistance levels. GS has to lose the 20-period 5-minute moving average support to be bearish. We held it the first two tests this morning. It's keeping the bulls in control on this gap up as long as that level holds. Our OKU in breakout mode on the daily time frame above the upper Bollinger Band. Resistance is the high of pre-market, 55.77. We would have to see a close under the daily upper Bollinger Band for the bulls to lose this momentum. And they are following through with that momentum from Friday's trading. So no sign of weakness on ROKU at this point. BALE on the weekly is a potential cup and handle pattern. Break of 1147 would be the start, and then a break of 1171 would confirm it. Bounce still trying to play out. The cryptocurrencies are forming this clear hourly equilibrium pattern. Bitcoin forming a higher low on the hourly. Litecoin as well. And Ethereum is a very bullish candlestick on the hourly. Need those 5-minute higher lows and higher highs to follow through. Apple is currently just pennies away from all-time highs. And Google's just a couple dollars away. WEED bulls right now are rejecting from the daily upper Bollinger Band resistance. So even though we broke key resistances on the daily, that upper Bollinger Band is standing in the way unless we can see a close above 2040. And we're going to have to see the bulls keep control all day for that to happen. The good news is that upper Bollinger Band is beginning to ascend more rapidly, and it should move up 15 to 20 cents each day this week. If the ATTBF bulls can break 50 cents, there's a lack of resistance until 566. And here goes Google and Apple, both going for all-time highs. And I've got Apple well into the all-time highs at this point, so already the clear winner. RTI.V, weak on the 5-minute time frame. Healthy daily consolidation at this point. If we lose the daily middle Bollinger Band, which is 164, that would be the first red flag. Bulls need to see a break of 178 to turn things around completely in their favor, but this is still healthy consolidation. Bulls ideally wanted to hold 168 support last week, which they could not do. But unless we see increasing bear volume and a loss of that daily middle Bollinger Band, Bulls are still just fine. But I personally would not be looking to make any entries at this point unless I saw bull momentum show up. If ATTBF were to hit a new low of the day, I would take the 1 to 2 cent loss. I was looking for the low of the day to be established when I got in at 46 cents, so if that were to not play out, I would want to be out of that trade. So BABA did not hold its gap up open. WEED still seeing low volume healthy consolidation. It would take a break of 20.08 to give a red flag. Financial sector is basically sitting still, which the bulls are fine with. Healthy consolidation, trying to make their way back to the high as the 5-minute chart, definitely favoring the bulls on both XLK and XLF so far. I have more shares than I need of WEED. Don't need to add anything else with the upper Bollinger Band daily rejecting the price right now. Not comfortable in WEED unless we get above that upper Bollinger Band. SQ on the daily is looking better. Bull break of the inside bar has to close above those exponential resistances. DDD, bearish reversal candlestick forming on the daily. Hourly support is going to be the 20 period being tested at 1019 and then 10 psychological support after that. A nice dip buying opportunity in the cryptocurrencies on those 5-minute oversold bounces, forming those hourly higher lows. Equilibrium patterns for Litecoin and Bitcoin should break on this hourly time frame sometime this afternoon or evening. Amazon and Google both still strong up at their highs. So PCLM, we definitely need a more convincing break than this at this point, but it's a good start. Daily upper Bollinger Band resistance is 1780. I believe I said in the whiteboard, even if we get the break of this resistance, this daily upper Bollinger Band, which rejected the price on Friday, is going to be right here. So I don't expect a ton of follow through for these bulls unless we see a big high volume day, which we certainly don't have so far. TRTC, I'm not interested in TRTC unless we see a clear bullish reversal candlestick on the daily time frame. Support right now is 244. If that breaks, I'm looking down at 22. So I flipped it last week and need to see a bullish reversal candlestick on the daily to indicate that consolidation is done. And we have seen 5 red days in a row so far. BCC is a liquid. At least on Bitfinex it is. Bittrex is a bit better. So Bittrex we're breaking out. And looking at the 15-minute time frame, support is 2020. And resistance on the 5-minute is 2129. So healthy consolidation on declining volume so far. Bulls on the 5-minute need to form higher lows and higher highs. I do not like VRX here. If I was not already in a position, I would chalk it up to missing the move for now. 5-minute RSI is cooling off a little bit, but the fact that we've been running all morning and setting higher lows and higher highs, the bull flag on the 5-minute time frame confirmed at 2060. That would have been an ideal entry. We saw the initial 5-minute bull move, 10 minutes of healthy consolidation and a bull flag, and then a break to a higher high. So it is possible that we form another 5-minute bull flag here, but the risk to reward just not favorable. And if making an entry, you could use a tight stop loss of 2076 or 2069 or so. But it's just one that I would pass up, having missed the morning opportunity, in my opinion. DE, no resistances at all-time highs, 154 and 155. WEED still consolidating at this point to remain in full control. The bulls need to hold 2017. Need to see WEED volume pick back up. That upper Bollinger Band is now actually in the mid 2040s. So we're going to need a close above, essentially above 2050 to see a clear bull breakout close. But we are on the verge of that bullish MACD cross on the daily chart. Certainly a nice start to the week. So GS losing the 20-period 5-minute moving average support and heading down to the low of the day. As the financial sector is consolidating, tech sector still holding strong. As Apple is continuing to hit all-time highs in blue sky breakout. And Google right on the verge, but not there yet. ALK, very strong start. Exponential 5-minute moving average support holding the entire morning. And next resistance is that 100-day moving average of 73.72. SPY bulls still extremely strong. Have not seen a ton of consolidation. And grow bulls are close to their all-time high. They came 22 cents shy so far this morning. So keeping a close eye on WEED, because if it does lose this 5-minute higher low pattern, the odds of us breaking above the upper Bollinger Band are very unlikely. 2017 and 2008 key supports. Google all-time high test. And after 1080, we'll be looking up at 1090. Twitter bulls are at 24 psychological resistance. New support on the 5-minute time frame is 2377, and the bulls are trying to confirm the bull flag on the 5-minute with a new high of the day. So Citron right now is shorting GBTC and buying futures of Bitcoin. And they're doing so because of the difference in premium. The futures have a 10% premium and the GBTC has an 80% premium. So essentially what they're doing is they're shorting GBTC and going long on the futures and locking in that 70% difference. So shorting GBTC and hedging with futures. And that's pretty smart. Netflix. The Netflix high of Friday was 191.43. We did break that high right to start, but then pulled back significantly. We are still holding daily higher lows 4 days in a row now, and the bull's trying to regain all 5-minute moving averages to recover. So we're going to need a new high of the day for the bulls to see any kind of significant follow through. Otherwise, we're likely to see just a consolidation day, keeping the higher low pattern intact, but not seeing much follow through from the bull break of the high of Friday. And again, Netflix is the furthest of the 5 major names that we cover. It's the furthest away from an all-time high. These other names are definitely going to be getting more attention than Netflix. I'm in ATTBF, and I will take a small loss if we hit a new low of the day. That's the game plan for today. FTFT is illiquid. Most days we trade less than $50,000. And yes, it is inside bars on the daily time frame. But just last Tuesday, we traded less than $30,000. KAT just dumped on increasing bear volume. Support was 175, that key level. And if we break 172, there's a lack of support, and we did break it. So there's a lack of support right now until down at 158. VRX, nice continuation with another 5-minute bull flag. New support on the 5-minute is 2076. HMMJ is a good investment for long-term Canadian MJ. They also have some US holdings as well. And they just shifted things, so I'm not sure what the percentages are at this point, but it's something like 3/4 Canadian. Google is at the all-time high, trying to follow Apple's lead. Riot resistance is 33.36 and 33.62. And WEED is close to losing the 5-minute higher low pattern, which means unlikely to close above the upper Bollinger Band today. Still a bullish daily chart, but we are not in breakout mode. New all-time high for Google was just a matter of time. So now Amazon and Facebook are the next two names trying to follow through. Double bottom of 2017 on consolidation for WEED. Bulls need to break 2030 to be heading back to the high of the day. Twitter bulls are over 24. Lack of resistance on the weekly time frame. WEED, you could definitely call that a bull flag on the 15-minute. Apple's not slowing down as the tech sector is at the high of the day. SIEB very tight with a 5-minute equilibrium pattern. Support is 1267 and resistance is the high of the day, $14. Tightening pattern set to break likely within an hour. SPY bulls seeing very healthy consolidation. Holding the 20 period 5-minute moving average support. WEED broke support of 2017, not game over. It just decreases the odds that we're going to be able to break out above the upper Bollinger Band unless we see some significant afternoon volume. IWM, healthy consolidation on the 5-minute time frame as long as the 20 period holds. Same thing for SPY. Baba bulls are trying to recover, need to break 174.13 resistance. So upper Bollinger Band on the daily chart is spoiling the fun for the WEED bulls, but it is still a higher low looking to form on the 15-minute, still healthy 15-minute consolidation. And the break on the daily certainly favoring the bulls. Going to have to see a move up towards 21 in order to see the daily bullish MACD cross follow through. So PCLN now a little bit more convincing follow through over that top, and the upper Bollinger Band to close above to enter breakout mode is 1781. Certainly possible today. Volume still pretty low. Very low volume. But there is a lack of resistance where we currently stand up towards 1800 if we can close above this upper Bollinger Band. BB is on fire all morning with the 5-minute exponential moving averages as support. And looking at the daily chart, we've got resistance, very clear bull break with a higher low and a higher high now on the daily, putting an end to this longer, drawn-out consolidation. And resistance after 1119 is 1178. So winding down the morning here, we've got the SPY bulls still in full control. A little bit of consolidation, certainly to be expected after such a strong start. If we lose this 20-period 5-minute moving average, which we are doing, we're heading back down towards the low of the day. If we were to break 267.98, that would shift momentum short-term back to the bears, but it would be healthy hourly consolidation. So the overall trend would certainly still stay with the bulls. Continuing to watch WEED and Canadian MJ to see if bull volume can show up in the afternoon to give that upper Bollinger Band another test. And all-time high bulls Google and Apple on watch for the tech sector. RAD very tight, close to a bull break. 193 would be the conservative break if you want to wait for clear bullish momentum. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll be back in 15 minutes to continue coverage in the chat room. I hope you all have a good rest of your morning. Clearly the bulls are in full control today. The only bearish plays would be short-term day trades. And the financial sector leading the way, but tech sector right behind it in terms of strength. Financial sector hitting higher highs today, but almost a double top here, 28.19 and 28.20. Something to keep an eye on for XLF. There is a bit of a double top, and XLK was a very clear gap up higher high. So we're going to have to watch this XLF double top for the rest of the week. And I'll be back shortly.